Welcome to this video where I'm going to look at particular charts and graphs that are done in the Survey of Mathematics, soon to be called Quantitative Literacy course, and I'm focusing on line charts and histograms. When we're looking at data in basic statistics in this survey course, we are asked to mathematically to draw pie charts and bar charts, which I illustrated in a different video, when the data is qualitative. Qualitative data, right here, referring to data that's not measurable. Breeds of dogs and cats, brands of cars, language names like English, Spanish, Chinese, Swahili. If I'm looking at colors, if I'm looking at movie ratings, excellent, good, fair, poor, etc. If I'm dealing with data that is measurable or that can be counted, I'm referring to something called quantitative data. Notice I've got the NT of the word count and the word quantitative listed there as a memory mnemonic. You might look at such things as height and weight. You might look at grades. If I'm looking at a range of years, like from 2000, 2001 all the way to 2014, I could use that. If I'm looking at age, which is a measurable value. If I'm looking at I'm not even thinking. If I'm looking at points at a basketball or football or other athletic event, those are measurable or quantitative or countable items. And the preferable chart to use with those are the line charts and the histograms. And I'll show you how to do each of these and the specifics behind them in this video. Take as an example this particular set of data, production of tobacco in the United States. Starting with the year January through December 2003, that's a range of data. And the amount of tobacco being produced in millions of pounds, 803 million pounds produced in 2003, all the way down to 2010, where we have 720 million pounds of tobacco produced. Because I'm dealing with years which can be measured, it's a range of values, 2003, etc. The data in this case is going to be quantitative with the NT, and therefore I will use either the line chart or the pie chart. The line chart or the histogram, not pie. To do the line chart, we'll basically draw the chart here, and I will label the years from 2003, 2004, all the way to 2010. Hopefully I don't run out of space here. There's that possibility on this screen that I will run out of space. I'll do my best, and I will show you a chart that's a lot more neatly arranged than mine later on in the video. And you can use whatever kind of increments you want right here. I'll use, because of spacing issues that I have, I'll go in the range of the 200s. I probably should. In fact, I'm going to change this a bit so that I can have a different range of values right here. Thank you for your patience as I do this video and sort of do stuff on the fly. I'm going to go in terms of hundreds, and you can use whatever range you prefer personally. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, all the way up to 800 is what I'll do right here. So for the year 2003, you will notice on here the year 2003, 803 million pounds of tobacco are done. We'll just use the 803 for these purposes. I'll put a big dot right there, right near the 800. For 2004, it's 882. That's one of the higher values. I probably should have done maybe a 900 in this scale, and I'll go ahead and actually put one up there just to have it. So for 882 for 2004, it's going to be a little bit higher than that. For 2005, it drops all the way down to 645. I'm just kind of put a little line right here, just a little sketch, just to let you see where I'm going. For 2006, the number is 727, so it's a little bit of an increase. For 2007, 779. For 2008, exactly 800. For 2000, that was 2008. 2009 is 823. This may not be very accurate, but you'll get the idea. And 2010, we drop back down to around 720. So when I draw the line chart, I'm just connecting the dots and seeing this pattern. That would be an example of a line chart. And where you're concerned on your homework, since this is a survey course, I'm not as concerned about super accuracy because of the pace we're having to go over during the summer months. And that gives you a pattern. It shows the trend over periods of time. I could maybe think in terms of maybe a box surrounding, or a bar surrounding 2003, another bar surrounding 2004, another one surrounding 2005. Notice they're connected together. That's what's going to actually make our histogram later on. To give you a neater arrangement of this data, I'll go to a nicer chart that you can see right here. In this first situation, just to write some of these values once again for you, if I can locate these. The first one for 2003 was 803. The second value for 2004 was 882. Notice they did a different scale right here, which is perfectly fine, all the way to 2010 where we have 720. And again, notice how these are arranged where the number and the dot are kind of centrally located like so. And technically what I should have done right here when I drew these little bars, because this will make sense later on and is meaningful, is I should have them together. There's an example of the line chart right there. Now I'll go back to this and erase what I already had, and we'll construct together a histogram. So I'm going to pop some of these numbers, some of this stuff out of here, get this erased, and thank you for waiting. The histogram is going to look like a bar chart, and you have to be very careful about that when you're using a software package like Excel, because sometimes they don't take the mathematical accuracies or statistical information into consideration necessarily. Now when we're doing the histogram, they're going to look like bars, but here's the deal. The bars must, I'll use the phrase stick together. The bars cannot be separated. Here's an example of what would be wrong for a histogram where they're separated. Here's what would be correct. Notice how the bars are right up against each other. That's the way you want to do a histogram. They've got to be grouped together. So to do the histogram, once again, we'll do the big chart right here, and I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to write January, just for now, January to December 2003, because I want to illustrate to you that that's got to be a bar. 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm putting the year down here. It does make a difference where you place this data. Don't flip it the other way and put the year on the side. And then we'll have the tobacco produced down here. This is 0. And I'll do this in terms, again, I'll do mine in terms of 100s, because I think that might be, it's actually a more accurate scale. If you want to do it in increments of 200 or whatever works for you personally, that is totally fine. Now mine is not very accurate. It's very sketchy at best. Sketchy not meaning deceptive, but sketchy in terms of being very rough. Alright, the first value is 803. So what I want to do is peg 803, but instead of drawing a dot, I actually want to draw a bar that covers that area. Notice I'm covering the January to December 2003. I'm covering that and making sure my bar actually covers that as well. And that is a big deal when you're drawing a histogram. And I'm right there at the 800, roughly the 803 mark. The next bar, 2004, is going to be 882. So I want that next bar to be a bit higher up. And again, the bars have to touch each other. Very meticulous there. The next bar, the third one, is going to be, for 2005, is 645. So I'm going to be writing here somewhere. The bar is going to be lower. And again, that bar has to physically touch this one. They've got to be against each other. They cannot be separated. 2006 is going to be 727. I think you have the general idea of how this works. So to illustrate this in a much neater situation, I'll show you this chart. We'll skip the line chart and look at the bar chart, the histogram. And notice how the bars are together They are not separated by space. There's no space between them, and that is a big deal. No spacing between them. Notice how they're grouped around the year range. Typically a range of values are going to be at the bottom. You notice where the label years down here and the label millions of pounds is over on the side. So 2003, this one represents the number 803. This one represents the number 882, all the way to the final value in 2010, which is the number 720. And this is the histogram right here. I hope this gives you a good idea of how these charts are sketched and what kind of charts are associated with what kind of data, quantitative or qualitative. If you have further questions, contact me or get with a fellow student or tutor.